Okay, the poem Exposure, written by Wilfred Owen. To be exposed to something is to be confronted by it, to experience it. So if I'm exposed to something, I experience it. Not really by choice, I am confronted by it. This poem is about exposure to war and conditions of war. Really, it's about the conditions of war more than it is about battles or anything like that. I'm going to keep coming back to this title because the title is really revealing. But I do need to remember certain things about Wilfred Owen. By yourself, just pause the video and try and think about what you can remember about Wilfred Owen. Okay, you should have said the following. Wilfred Owen was a soldier in World War I. Should have said that. Okay. He was a soldier in World War I who wrote poetry and would send that poetry home. He was incredibly critical of war in his poetry, which is quite rebellious if we think about it. To be critical of war, war is created by the nation. It is like England versus Britain versus, okay? So war forces you to have a national opinion. And if your opinion is against war, then your opinion is against your country, is what some people believe. Now, we do live in a different world than the world of 1914, okay? The world now of 2023 and onwards is very different. You can be much more critical of war these days. But back in the time of strict allegiances, colonial powers, allies, and worldwide kind of attempts at domination, it's a very different world in that if you were critical of war, you were perhaps even critical of your government, of your king, and that was seen as very rebellious, more radical than it would be seen now. And then finally, that he died in World War I. He died in the Battle of the Somme, which was the most deadly battle in all of World War I, and it was towards the end of the war. So he experienced and was exposed to a lot of warfare in his time. The fact that Wilfred Owen himself is writing this poem is important and something I really want you to think about when we think about writers and context, especially when we think about paper 2 language, when we think about perspectives. Wilfred Owen is writing from a personal perspective about a topic he knows really well, which does change how the reader receives the poem. Because Alfred Lord Tennyson is writing about a battle that was reported on. So when I read Mary Seacole's book, I am understanding the Crimean War from the perspective of someone who went. It's very different to Alfred Lord Tennyson, who didn't go to that war, but was writing about it from the reports and the understanding that they had at home. Whereas Wilfred Owen is writing from a personal perspective of World War I, and that changes how we as a reader understand and receive his poem. Okay? And the poem Exposure is 100%, what we need to remember, is 100% about the power of nature, it is 100% about the power of groups, and it is about the predatory enemy of war. We will come to these ideas as we read the poem.